Alright, let's dive into a story that's equal parts jaw-dropping and thought-provoking. Imagine this, an 18-year-old hiker, injured, hops and crawls his way toward the summit of Mount Washington. Yes, you heard that right. Not just limping or resting, actively crawling toward the peak. What makes this really interesting is the sheer determination on display here. It's not just about the physical act, it's the mindset. Personally, I think this story challenges us to rethink what we're capable of when pushed to the limit. But let's break it down. First, the context. Mount Washington isn't your average hike. It's known for its unpredictable weather, steep trails, and rugged terrain. The Tuckerman Ravine Trail, where this happened, is no walk in the park. So, when this hiker injured his lower leg, to the point he couldn't bear weight on it, the situation could have easily turned dire. But here's where it gets fascinating. Instead of waiting for rescue, he and his 8 friends decided to keep going. Why? In my opinion, it's a mix of adrenaline, peer pressure, and that stubborn human instinct to finish what you started. But let's be real, crawling up a mountain with a busted leg. That's next-level grit. Now, let's talk about the rescue. Fish and Game got the call around 3 p.m., and by the time they reached the hiker, he'd already made it 0.3 miles closer to the summit. That's not just physical endurance, it's mental fortitude. What many people don't realize is how quickly things can go wrong in the mountains. Hypothermia, dehydration, or worsening injuries, any of these could have compounded the situation. Yet, this hiker's focus remained on the summit. It raises a deeper question: is this bravery, recklessness, or something in between? Personally, I think it's a bit of both. There's a fine line between pushing your limits and putting yourself, and others, at risk. Here's a detail I find fascinating: when rescuers finally reached him, they splinted his leg and carried him the rest of the way. But get this, once at the summit, he refused transport to the hospital. Instead, he opted to head back to Massachusetts for care. What this really suggests is that, for some people, the mountain isn't just a physical challenge, it's a personal battle. Maybe he felt he'd already conquered it in his own way. Or maybe he just didn't want to end his adventure in an ER. Either way, it's a decision that sparks debate. From my perspective, it's a reminder that risk-taking is deeply personal, and what seems irrational to one person might be a defining moment for another. If you take a step back and think about it, this story isn't just about one hiker's ordeal. It's a microcosm of how we approach challenges in life. Do we wait for help, or do we keep moving forward, even if it means crawling? And at what point does perseverance become stubbornness? One thing that immediately stands out is the role of his friends. They didn't leave him behind, they stayed and helped him try to reach the summit. That's a level of loyalty that's hard to ignore. But it also raises questions about group dynamics. Were they enabling his decision, or were they simply supporting him? It's a fine line, and honestly, I'm still wrapping my head around it. What this story really highlights, though, is the unpredictability of human behavior in extreme situations. We like to think we know how we'd react under pressure, but the truth is, nobody really knows until they're in that moment. This hiker's actions force us to confront our own limits, physical, mental, and emotional. Personally, I think that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about the mountain, it's about the choices we make when the stakes are high. So, here's my closing thought: what would you do in his shoes? Would you crawl toward the summit, or would you wait for rescue? There's no right or wrong answer, but it's a question worth pondering. This story isn't just about one hiker's grit, it's about the resilience, and sometimes the recklessness, that lives inside all of us. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe think twice before hopping up a mountain with a busted leg.